Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, to our 264th Sunday gathering. If we haven't yet met, I'm Sandra Champlain. I'm joined here by my dearest friends, Kerry McLeod and Phil Dykes. And I just want to do a little dance and celebration because Kerry and Phil are back. For those of you relatively newcomers who don't know Kerry and Phil, not only are they two of the top mediums in the world, wonderful tutors, the top that I recommend. They're two of my very, very closest friends, and they were a big part of our Sunday gathering over the past 5 years, the birth of it, the creation, and they've been with us for most of our Sunday gatherings. When the world started to open up, they started their travels again and teaching and all good things. So they've just returned from a mighty long adventure down under to Australia, and I couldn't be happier that they're here. Each time we're together for the Sunday gathering, we're together for about 90 minutes or so. We celebrate life and the afterlife. This is non-denominational. It will feel like a service because it is, and it's the joining of the two worlds, and also letting you know that you are a divine soul. Your life matters. So anything that we can do today and every Sunday to put a smile on your face, know that you are loved, that you have an invisible team, loved ones and guides around you, and just give you some of those day-to-day tools to make your life a little bit stronger, as Kelly Clarkson was singing about. I'm going to turn it over to Phil, who has planned our Sunday gathering. He can tell you what's happening and the theme and all good things. Over to you, Phil, and welcome back, Kerry and Phil.
Thank you, Sandra. Absolutely wonderful to be here, ladies and gentlemen, and we've missed you too. So we've just read all the comments in the chat box. So nice of people to write those lovely comments. That it's nice to see us, nice to see you too, and nice to be able to work here again for you and inspire you as part of the Sunday gathering. Sandra, wonderful thing that you've just said there, introducing us, not just about us, but what we do and how the Sunday gathering is. And the theme of today's Sunday gathering is all about the future, looking to the future, as we often do. And the beginning of a new year, we have all that intention, but we get a couple of months in and the daily life grinds us down and we get back into that routine. Well, who says we have to do that? We need to stay positive and we need to keep on looking. So we're here to remind you of that. Today, though, Kerry is going to be doing our prayers. Sandra will be doing the healing and the reading as well. And all of us are going to share the address. Now, Sandra's asked us to share a little bit of Australia in there. So we haven't planned this. She just as we started, she said, will you talk about this? And it was like, okay, well, we don't know what we're going to say anyway.
Sandra asks, we do.
Exactly, sort of thing. So we don't know what we're going to say anyway, because we just get inspired by the spirit world. But I'm sure the spirit world heard that. So without further ado, sit back, relax. I hope the music made a big enough splash for you to let you know that we're back with fighting spirit. But I'm going to hand over to Kerry to open us up in prayer.
Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Sandra and Phil, let's pull our minds together within this space as we enter into that silence of prayer to whoever your God is. Divine, ever-present Spirit, today on this Sunday gathering, we allow ourselves to be reminded that life is a gift, that a future is a gift, and that every moment counts. May we also be reminded that the past is behind us, that if we have a negative or sad moment, that actually that sad moment has a lifespan of 90 seconds, and therefore allow us during the next 90 minutes to train ourselves, practice, and smile our way through into a new moment and a new thought and a new emotion. May we feel our loved ones close to us. May we be reminded that there is a life after physical death, and may we feel hope to look brightly on to a new tomorrow. Amen.
Thank you so much, Kerry. Okay, the reading for you is a once upon a time story. Once upon a time, in the quiet village of Storybrooke, nestled beside the whispering woods, lived a young woman named Betsy. Betsy carried a heavy burden, a collection of shadow words. These were not real words, but whispers of doubt and fear and negativity echoed from her childhood. Once a stern schoolmaster had declared, "Betsy, you have no gift for telling stories." And a cruel friend sneered, "Your dreams are silly, Betsy. They'll never come true." Those words, like dark seeds, had taken root in her heart, growing into a tangled forest of self-doubt. Betsy, now a full-grown woman, found herself afraid to try new things. She avoided writing, painting, or even sharing her ideas, convinced that the shadow words were true. She lived in a small gray house, her dreams, like all of her cherished possessions, tucked away in dusty boxes, thinking that they were not good enough to share. One day, a traveling storyteller named Phil arrived in Storybook Brook. Phil had eyes that sparkled like fireflies and a voice that could weave magic. He carried a worn, leather-bound book filled with blank pages. "Betsy," Phil said. His gentle voice said, "I've heard the whispers of your shadow words. They've built walls around your heart." Betsy looked down, shame burning in her cheeks. "They're true," she whispered. "I'm not talented. I'm not capable, and I'm certainly not smart." Phil smiled. "Betsy, those words are not yours. They're borrowed shadows, echoed from a time when you were too young to know your own strength. They belong in the past, not in your present, and certainly not in your future." Phil opened his blank book. "This book is for you. It's a book of new beginnings. We're going to write a new story, one where you are the hero." Betsy hesitated, but what if the shadows return? Phil placed a hand over her heart. "Then we'll write over them," he said. "We'll fill this book with stories of courage, of dreams realized, of accomplishments, of a heart and soul that remembers its own magic. We'll remember what it was like to be a child, where any dream was possible." Together, Phil and Betsy began to write. They wrote of Betsy's hidden talent for painting with starlight, of her voice that could soothe the wildest storms, of her ideas that blossomed into inventions that brought joy to the village. They wrote of a woman who was brave, strong, and capable of anything her heart desired. As they wrote, the shadow words began to fade, their power dissolving like mist in the morning sun. Betsy's gray house soon filled with color, her heart with light. She began to paint, her brush strokes as vibrant as the dreams she had once buried. She shared her stories, her loud voice ringing with newfound confidence. The villagers, who had long forgotten the joy of dreaming, were inspired by Betsy's transformation. They began to write their own new beginnings, reclaiming the lost dreams of their childhoods. This village of Storybook, once quiet and gray, became a place vibrant with creativity and color, where every dream was celebrated. Betsy learned that the past, like an old forgotten story, had no power over her future. She learned that the true magic lay in remembering the boundless potential of her inner child, that part of her that still knew that anything was possible. And she understood that every day was a chance to write a beautiful new chapter. Well, friends, I hope you enjoyed that reading. We're going to go into our healing now, and our healing is a time to offer our love and healing prayers to whoever or wherever it is needed in the world. I like how Kerry says, don't focus on the negativity or illness. Focus on people being healthy, whole, and well. I believe that those in the spirit world and the unseen world can use our human energy to direct healing where it is needed. So when we feel joyful, I think that always gives a little bit extra oomph to our healing. Phil has picked a wonderful song, and it's called Better Place by Rachel Platten. And it's an experiment that you'll see within the video that she has people sit across from each other while listening to the song and really to see the difference that we make in each other's life. So this one, you can keep your eyes closed or you can watch the experiment. It's pretty nifty. And then when the song is finished, you'll hear from Kerry, Phil, and myself for the address. So let's all sit for healing.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, Phil purposely didn't show me that song before we did the address. I now see why. Wow. Oh, isn't it incredible what music can do when a song means something? So thank you very much. So as I begin to look at today's address, I wanted to be able to do it in the moment, because how often do we actually live in the moment? How often do we allow ourselves to think about just the moment to come and not about way into next year or way into the past? Music has a way of doing that, doesn't it? Pulling us into the moment, allowing us to feel completely embraced by that moment. I see why Phil chose that song and chose not to allow me to hear it until I was here. Because when we prepare for things, it takes something away. If we are always looking at moving forward and preparing and thinking, then we get caught in that moment of preparing and thinking and planning, and it takes us out of now. Yes, we need to plan for the future, but we have to remember the future is based on what we think about today. When we remember the love we have for the people around about us, when we remember the love we have for our communities, our country, our planet, then that in its own way shapes where we're going. In its own way, it shapes what we're thinking and what we can achieve. Now, I would imagine that at times you might feel a little bit worn down, a little bit stuck, a little bit out of your depth, or a little bit lost for a whole number of reasons. We know that whilst we've been away in Australia, which I'll come back to, Sandra, that we were able to receive emails and messages at really strange times of the day, which is just as well because we were awake a lot of evenings when we should have been sleeping. But what we heard was people's life actions, the things that were happening in people's lives, the illnesses, the difficulties, the challenges, the successes, the celebrations, all of those we got to hear from you, because all of you are part of our lives, and therefore, if God grant me another day, then part of my future. You can't get rid of me that quickly. If we remember who we are and why we're here, often it comes with a blessing of gratitude, and it's something that takes time. Did you know that to feel negative happens like that? But to actually feel gratitude and feel positive takes just a moment more. Well, that moment more can change everybody's life. It can certainly change yours. I said in the prayer, I think, that it's 90 seconds a less positive emotion lasts for, which means we continue to live that emotion only by returning to it, which means going into the past, returning to something that was so 90 seconds ago. Then if we relive it, we've extended it by another 90 seconds. So there are 3 minutes. Now, we can't just walk away from grief. We can't just walk away from the bad feelings. But isn't it incredible if you think about how putting on a bit of music allows you to change your mindset, your emotions, and you're allowed to do that. Mediumship is about inspiring us to live our best lives. Yes, it's there to reassure us that we don't die. The physical body disappears, but it's there to inspire the living. When we were in Australia, we visited a whole lot of places, lots of different churches of lots of different faiths. And whilst we were in there, we took in some services of different faiths, and one common theme was live, enjoy living, make the best of your life. And Phil and I reflected on that's what mediumship is, isn't it? Now, bear in mind, mediumship just isn't about the evidence. Mediumship is about what I'm doing right now, allowing words to pour out. Hopefully they make some sense. When you're speaking to somebody and you just find the right words to say, you're doing the work of the spirit world. You are doing something very special. We had conversations with members of my family who live on the Gold Coast. Now, they're a little bit dubious about what happens after we die. And we were staying with my mum, who passed the spirit last year, her brother and his family and their sons and their children. And interesting conversations where people have open minds. Your job is not to convince another person that there is life after death. Your job is to inspire people to live their best life after they've experienced grief or loss or challenge. Inspiring somebody to do something they haven't done before is what your job is. It's not to convince them to believe what you believe. Their path will be different. But imagine being able to inspire at least one person each day or week or month throughout the rest of your future. I'd say that was a pretty spectacular thing to be able to do. So, what's stopping you?
Well, it's one of those things, isn't it? When we designed this theme for the Sunday gathering, looking to the future, it struck us while we were in Australia that that's always what we're doing. We're always striving to be better, to do things better, to achieve things. Well, we lose sight at times because we're so busy of the little things around us, such as waking up and noticing the weather. The weather was phenomenal in Australia. Really hot, really sunny. It made you feel really alive. Well, sometimes, ladies and gentlemen, we forget that we are alive, don't we? I mean, let's start right at the beginning, when Mum and Dad brought us into this world and they saw a bright future for us. And they told you that the future was always going to be great, that you would be successful, that you would achieve these wonderful things. And I suppose we all have in many different ways. But there was one little bit that they didn't tell us, that life sucks at times, doesn't it? It can be hard. It can be really stressful. It can be very emotional. It can set us challenges that we've never really perceived or conceived within our minds. We never knew these things existed that cause upset. And it's those times that we really need to dig deep. And like Kerry said, 90 seconds. Well, 90 seconds is not a very long time, is it? But in those 90 seconds, we lose sight of reality. That problem grabs hold of us. It stirs the emotions. It clouds the mindset. But yet, these little things that are around us, such as the weather, such as lovely friends like Sandra and many others, that send us a little message in the wee hours of the night and you forget to turn your phone off and it's like, oh, I'm wide awake. Thank you very much, Sandra, while we're in Australia. So all these little things, I'm teasing, all these little things really mean a lot to us because they can change life in a moment. They can help us grip reality. But when we start to look forward, we can sort of see life without those rose-tinted glasses, that we can make provisions, we can sort of second guess what's about to happen, and we know the challenges that we might face. Well, if we take a second to think about those challenges and we've prepared for them, then they're not much of a surprise, are they? They're all part and parcel of that grand design of achieving. And some of the people that we rub shoulders with in Australia were absolutely amazing. Their mindsets were incredible, where they used to say, "Good day, Phil, how you doing?" And, "Oh yeah, life's another day. Here we are," sort of thing. "Today's another day. We start again." And actually, they have a point, because a new day is exactly that, a new start, where we can gather our thoughts together, that we can walk forward and take on those challenges that life gives us. But through the experience of yesterday, we can gain that knowledge that we pulled together from that experience and then walk forward with stronger convictions, with mental strength, with firm emotions, because we never want to give up on our dreams, do we? We never want to give up on providing for the family, providing for the children or friends, or making a difference in this world. One of the things that I learned very early in my life was from one of the greatest rocks in my life. Right at the side of me, I have my latest rock, which is my wife, but my first rock was my father. Now, I lost my father a couple of months ago, but yet I remember him saying a few things to me, saying, "Do you know, each day teaches you something, preparing you for the next. Never forget the lessons that each day teaches you, because you'll find the next day easier." And as you walk through the weeks, the months, and the years, you'll look back and say, "I achieved that." So, ladies and gentlemen, never let go of your dreams. Never stop creating your future. Never stop striving. But remember the journey, because the journey teaches you the lessons of life that you can share with your siblings, with your children, with your friends. And you never know, when you travel somewhere, who you'll meet and share that little bit of wisdom with and change their life. So every morning that you wake up and you see that sunlight, you see that blue sky, be grateful for everything that you've lived through and what you're achieving in this world. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you, Kerry. And I love the new camera angle, zoom right in there, up close and personal. Friends, my turn for the address. When Phil mentioned the theme of future, I immediately went to, similar to what was in the reading, how our past can be stuck in our future. You know, we think the past is in the past and it should be in the past, but too often we throw out things in the future of what may happen. And it's hard to navigate the future when we're stuck in the past and swimming through all these things. A perfect example is if, say, someone in a relationship cheats on the other, right? Maybe they get divorced. Well, it's common, if people don't know this, to realize you may make a decision that my partner's going to cheat on me. So you go through relationship after relationship, just waiting, you know, and somebody could say something funny or come home late, and I knew that's what you're doing. And what happens is we create the outcome that we're trying to avoid. So that's just an example about our past being stuck in our future. So I like my story of the wise Phil, because he is wise. And just to be that reminder that that's what we do. And I'm just as much to fault in this as anyone, you know, no matter how much work we do on ourselves. I think each one of us at a very young age, we make decisions about ourselves, like the Betsy in the story, you know, I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough. And so sometimes it's just something will happen and there it is. So we got to remember, oh, let's put the past in the past where it belongs. I did something extremely courageous the past 2 days that I want to tell you about because it directly deals with this. About episodes ago, I interviewed a psychologist from Australia, Dr. Tom Neame. If anyone heard of that episode, he does what's called IADC therapy, which means induced after-death communication. It's actually a grief therapy more than anything. And he had heard an episode of my We Don't Die radio many years ago, where I interviewed Dr. Alan Botkin, who worked with the Veterans Association, who was using something called EMDR, which is eye movements. And he would do this with people that were suffering from PTSD, mainly soldiers who had returned from Vietnam, who had terrible, terrible PTSD, remembering every time they had the memory, they'd be full blown with the emotion of the pain and the experience. And EMDR right now is the gold standard in treating people with PTSD, because to get people to relive these experiences while looking left, right, or tapping themselves left, right, under a guidance of a trained therapist, the memory and the emotion dislodge from one another. So someone could have the memory, but not all the feeling. So Dr. Botkin realized after a while that every time he gave a little too much left, right eye movements, it would almost transport people into a realm where they would experience their deceased loved ones, even be able to tell Dr. Botkin about his own deceased loved ones, almost like a heightened state, a mediumistic state. Well, it's great. It's out there. The book has been out for 20 years called IADC Therapy. Wonderful thing. But no one's really taken the ball to run with it, to bring it to other therapists. And so when I interviewed Dr. Tom, and he said he heard it on my podcast, and he said it sounded too good to be true. So I had to learn it. And it's being done for grief. And he conducted a study in Adelaide, Australia, with a university. And out of the 50 people studied, every single one of them, it greatly, if not diminished, their grief. Now, I'm not talking you won't miss the person, you will, but each one of us knows the incredible pain physically, the crying till you can't cry anymore, and then you cry again. And as a bonus, 75% of them have some kind of an experience of their loved one. Now, he says, you don't go into this for seeing your loved one. That's a side effect, may or may not happen. So I was a big girl the last 2 days, and I asked Dr. Tom if I might have these sessions. They're 2 90-minute sessions. And friends, I'm going to tell you what happened, because I think this could revolutionize not only grief therapy, but really putting the past in the past where it belongs. So I was sitting in this very chair, and Dr. Tom said it's kind of like playing the game whack-a-mole. We take a walk down memory lane, these things that really caused me grief. And it's been a number of years since my dad passed, but there's other grief and other loss that I've had as well. So one by one, he had me talking about these things. One led to another, led to another. I've got a big box of tissues by my side, and you betcha I was crying my eyes out. The only way to the other side of this is straight through it. And I thought, if I'm going to help people, and if this is meant to be, I need to know if it's real myself. So I needed to be the detective. And after each reliving the painful grief, he had me look on my computer screen, and there's this little ball that went back and forth. Could have been for 90 seconds. I don't know. And then at other times I would tap myself like this and then just close my eyes. And then he'd say, how is the grief? And I would try to relive that memory. And sometimes the grief would still be there, maybe a little diminished. But other times I could bring up the memory, and it didn't make me sad, and it didn't make me cry. So for 90 minutes on day one, this is what I did. Boy, I got a good night's sleep that night, but I thought, oh, what is last night going to be like? And before I got on Zoom with Dr. Tom, I decided to look at some pictures from my past, which I had done the day before, pictures of my niece and nephew that I wasn't able to see for their whole period growing up, which brought me a lot of grief, my dad, other relatives as well. And instead of those griefs, those pictures gnawing at my heartstrings, making me sad, I was able to giggle, because there was some funny stuff that happened. And I thought, am I just making this up, or is this really working? Right? I don't know. So when I got on with Dr. Tom last night, we did the same thing for 90 minutes. We reviewed where we had just been. And there were a couple of things that I realized that still troubled me. And we did the eye movements and things. And I felt better. I really did. We got to the point where I couldn't find anything else I was sad about, that really stopped me, things from my past. And we're talking 10, 15 years. Sometimes we have things buried even further down than that. And even things with my siblings who are still very much alive. And as many of you know, I don't have relationships with them around things that happened over my dad's death. But I was able to look at them in my mind with some compassion and forgiveness from both sides and what might have happened. And even though theoretically I've been able to kind of understand this, and I also know, had my past not been exactly the way it was, we wouldn't have our Sunday gathering today. But knowing and experiencing are two totally different things. So I had this lightness. Well, the next part after you whack-a-mole with all the tough stuff is he said, if you could talk to your dad right now, what would it be? And remember your dad. And we would do the movements, and then I'd just quiet the mind. And anyone who's taken one of Kerry and Phil's classes will know what it's like to have spirit communication. And that's why I always suggest you don't have to be a medium, but you take one of their classes, because you know that it's not a lightning bolt or lights going on and off. They use our imagination. They use our feelings. They communicate that way. They may have some pictures and words and things, but we concentrate on our feeling. So when I would do these exercises and I would close my eyes, I got, which was the coolest thing, it was like a thank you from my dad, because he never got to say thank you for me being by his side and being his champion there while he was dying. But there was a sense that he really loved me and that he was really proud of me. And there was no way my brain could create this, my friends. But like a slideshow, I got to see me from his eyes with all the little cards I'd make, or the ashtray. He didn't smoke, pencil holder, all those gifts that we do as kids for our parents. But I got this sense of what it was like for him to be my dad. And although I'm feeling emotion now, it's emotion of love and it's emotion of happiness. And as time got on, we did, I was talking through this to Dr. Tom, but the more time that went on, I got other things as well. I got like a slideshow of my deceased relatives, even people I didn't know were there. And then the coolest thing happened, now I ask you guys to do this on the Sunday gathering, to imagine that your loved ones are all with you in the room, right there with you. But in an instant, I felt like this whole area behind me was just flooded with my loved ones, that I'm not alone. It was a tough experience to go through in the beginning. Like I said, you got to go through it. You got to feel it. And, I'm not too attractive. Who is when they cry, right? You got to be vulnerable. You have to trust. But on the other side of it was this peace. And so to tie it back with the future, although theoretically, I know that we put the past in the future, I didn't know to what a degree I was doing that myself. I really didn't. So he's going to check in with me in about a week, to see how I'm feeling, seeing how it's going. Because a part of me is thinking, is this wishful thinking or did this really work? That kind of thing. And believe me, I'll create a podcast on this, because I think, well, I know in my heart that it does work with all the clinical examples and all the universities that have studied this and all this. I think it's going to be a really good thing going forward. But for me, myself, there's just this freedom to go forward in my future, knowing that I think everybody in our lives does the best job they can at the time. And so I think my request for everyone is to just look at yourself the next time you see yourself in a mirror with a new set of eyes, right? Like Kerry and Phil say, look to the future. We can dial down the past. Maybe we have to remind ourselves from time to time to do so. But people in our lives, our friends, our family, they're good people. They love us. They do the best job they can at the time. If you have relationships that are suffering, know that maybe if you were in their shoes, you'd see the situations a little bit differently. But with that, the future is wide open. There is a benefit of being a soul, having a human experience. And it's something that I don't think we get in the spirit world. We really get to see how powerful we are and that we can create dreams and we can serve others and we can have a heck of a lot of fun. I was going to say another word, but I've never sworn on the Sunday gathering, but a ton of fun we can have. Really, when you get on your path and you start living into your own dreams, whatever they may be, I think God or the universe surrounds you with people that love you. And I got Kerry and Phil as two best friends to show for that. So anyways, we put the past in the past, like Betsy and the wise Phil that came into her path. And sometimes we just need that reminder to do so. So I want to thank you for listening to my part of the address. I feel a million times lighter than I did last week, but I am 1 year older because I did have a birthday. So thanks for all the celebrations and nice messages, everybody. We're going to move now to our demonstration of mediumship. And this is just our time to let everybody know that our loved ones are still with us. Of course, they continue to learn and grow and love and experience in the spirit world, but they can just be one thought away from us. So every time we have a medium demonstration, it never fails to amaze me just how close our loved ones are. So I ask everybody who's listening right now, while there will be some members of our community that will get a reading, I want everybody to just pretend that these readings are for you. I want you to pay attention to some of the words that come through. Very often the loved one can witness what we're doing in our lives. They can easily be right here with us. And so often the message that comes through, you think, gee, I could use a little bit of that myself. Pull it towards you. I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it again because this is what I do. Kerry, Phil, and I are panelists on Zoom, right? We can't see you guys. We can see your names, but we're the ones that talk. There will be a handful of representatives from the Sunday gathering in the spirit world that will work with Kerry and Phil. And I want you to treat them like they are panelists from the spirit world. Every word they speak is important. And again, they can make a difference for each one of us. So that being said, Kerry and Phil will each take a turn being our mediums. They have a special way of requesting the spirit world work with them, of course, and they'll do their very best and a few initial bits of information to describe the spirit person who has connected with them. Now, our loved ones are very smart. They know that you're listening in. You might think you're alone, taking a walk, but if you got the Sunday gathering on, they know you're here. So in those few bits of information that they give, we want everybody to be on the edge of your seat. Do you recognize this person? All right. Now, we have about 150 people here with us today. So we're going to ask if you can understand 100% of the information that is shared. If you understand this person as somebody that you knew that no longer walks this earth, it could be a loved one, it could be a friend, it could be somebody you worked with, could be somebody a little distant. But if you're sitting there going, oh my gosh, they just described so-and-so, we want you to press your raise hand button. Now, this is the time, audience participation, to find on your device where that raise hand button is and just to press it. If you're on an iPad or a phone, sometimes you have to hit the 3 little dots before the raise hand button appears. Why this raise hand button is important is because sometimes there's 2, 3, 5, you never know, many more people that can take these initial bits of information. So Kerry or Phil will continue to work and give more information about the person. And your raise hand button should now say lower hand. So go ahead and press that now to take your hand down. All right. So in a perfect world, with everything working great, we're left with one person with their hand raised. I press a magic button on my side. You'll get a pop-up on your screen. Host would like you to unmute. At that time, you'll see an unmute button pop up and you press that. So we're never going to see you. We'll just see your name, but it'll be an opportunity to talk to our medium. Now, when I say talk to our medium, this goes for our Sunday gathering, any medium demonstration you go to, or any medium reading you ever have. All we need from you is for you to say yes, no, or I don't know to the information the medium gives. They say, do not feed the mediums. We want everybody to leave our Sunday gathering knowing that Kerry and Phil were talking to the people in the spirit world that truly are. And sometimes when we volunteer that information, we leave a demonstration thinking, oh, was my loved one really there, or did I say all of that? So just we keep it simple. Just say yes, no, or I don't know. And if something doesn't fit, just say no. Kerry and Phil teach no simply means new opportunity. So we are amongst friends here. Keep it casual. We give great gratitude to our friends in the spirit world that are here. And everybody's going to pull those readings towards them as if they are for themselves, because I think they are. So we always like to play a piece of music going into our demonstration. This one is another power-packed one. It is Sarah Bareilles' Brave. I think you might know it. And if you want to do what I do every Sunday, I just imagine my loved ones just here with me. That's all I do. Raise the energy, feel good. Let me play the song, and then we'll be right back with our demonstration. All right, kids, who's working first?
I am, and I never tire of that song.
I love it.
It's just a fun, fun song. And it is incredibly a privilege to be back here. And I know as I was listening to that song, I had a gentleman right behind me, not quite singing, but I know that he was enjoying that positivity. As I begin to become more aware of him, I do know that the name Frank would be around him. I'm not sure if it would be his name, but I know the name Frank is there. I also need to say that I know Patricia is here. So I know in fact, there's two. I know Patricia is in the spirit world and Pat is here. And I do feel that this gentleman would be Dad. Would that make sense to anybody in our audience?
Thank you very much. Well, we have a Patricia with her hand raised. Let's go over to her. If you could press your unmute button. Hello.
Hello. No,
Hi,
I'm not
Patricia.
sure the names fit, but it isn't my father.
So would you understand this to be father-in-law or stepfather?
No, it isn't. The relationship is wrong, so perhaps it is not me.
Okay. Hang on one second, Patricia.
Thank you.
Shirley Ann. Sandra, do you have anybody else with their hands up?
We have Maureen with her hand up. Hello, Maureen.
Hello.
Welcome.
Hi,
Thank
Maureen.
you.
Hi.
Hi.
So you understand Father in the spirit world?
Yes. And my father's name was Frank.
His name was Frank, and you understand the name Patricia as well here?
Well, the only thing is my middle name is named Patricia.
Oh, okay. And you understand a Patricia in the spirit world as well?
No, I don't.
Do you understand the name Pat in the spirit world?
No, I don't.
Then can I just double check with you, Maureen? With your dad, would he have been somebody who would have really loved a moment of joy?
Yes.
Because I feel as he comes in here, I feel like he was just loving that song. With your dad, Maureen, I know that he was very private about things that happened within his own life.
Yes.
I get the sense too that he wouldn't have advertised to the rest of the world exactly what happened in his past, but I feel that you are aware of some things that took place in his past that shaped him.
Yes, I do.
Okay, because I feel like he wants to mention it, but he's reluctant to talk about specifics. I do know that he would have wanted the best for his family, but I know too he would have been your champion.
Yes.
I feel like he is rah-rahing on the background here, because I know that if I were to take you back just a week or two, he gives me this impression he was at a family gathering with you. So you would know a family gathering you attended, that there were family members that your dad would have known.
Let me think here. Family gathering. No, I mean, I was recently with an aunt and uncle.
Let me work through this with him. Would you understand where within the family there has been new additions?
New additions. No. New additions would be my nephew getting married, his grandson.
Then I do get the strong sense that he is acknowledging the family gathering, the bringing the family together, because your dad was that person who kept family together.
Mm-hmm.
I also know with your dad that he would have had an occupation that allowed him to completely immerse himself in it. But I know that he wouldn't have brought that occupation home, Maureen. He would have been very much leave work at there and come home and be with the family.
Yes, that's true.
I also know with your, Maureen, would you understand husband in the spirit world as well?
No.
Or partner?
No.
I'm not going to put anybody there. I do know that I've just heard him shout husband. Then he would have got on well with your husband, Maureen.
Yes.
Because and he would have teased him, because I've got this sense of him wanting to wind your husband up.
Yes.
I also know that his thoughts go to your husband, so he must be just a little bit under the weather at the moment.
Yes, he is.
Okay, because I know this is your dad's way of acknowledging that healing is being sent, and he is very much present in that situation. I know too that he brings this enormous sense of enthusiasm to you, because I know that you are needing this from your dad. He would have been the one to say, you can do this. You've got this. He would have championed you and reassured you that you've got this. So don't doubt. Know that the spirit world is there. For today, they've chosen your dad, and he's very willing to represent all of those in the spirit world that love you and are with you. And I'm going to leave your dad's love and support and enthusiasm there. Thank you for allowing me to do that.
Oh, thank you.
You're very welcome. Okay. I do get a sense of a woman here, and I wouldn't be surprised if this would be sister. If it's not sister, then it's very, very, very close to you. I do know that there is, I do know that I feel I should be looking for Julie. I know that I hear the name Julie, but I do feel it is here. And I feel that this lady in the spirit world would have passed with a cancer, but I also know that whoever I need to speak to would have witnessed this beautiful lady lose her hair. Would that make sense to somebody in our audience?
If that makes sense to you, press that raise hand button. Even if your name is not Julie, if that makes sense. No hands up yet, Kerry.
Okay. I'm going to, I can't change very much here, but if somebody in our audience knows Julie, whose very close friend or sister transitioned to spirit through a cancerous condition, then would they be able to put up their hands?
We have Andrea with her hand raised. Andrea, if you could press your unmute button. Oh, and Judy also just put her hand up. Oh, it went down. Andrea, over to you. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Andrea. You understand Julie here?
Yes, my sister is Julie.
Okay. And she must have had a very close friend that passed to the spirit world with a cancerous condition.
Yes, her best friend.
Okay. Then you become the messenger, Andrea.
Yep.
Because I know that your sister must have been so powerfully reassuring to her best friend during that period of illness.
Yeah, she has.
I also know your sister would have saw her friend lose her hair.
Yeah.
I also get this feeling that your sister would have been with her when she tried to find solutions to having no hair.
That I'm not sure about.
Okay, because I feel like there were scarves, there were also hats, and your sister made it okay to be that way. I also know your Andrea, would you understand Dad in the spirit world?
Yes, my father has transitioned.
Okay, because I know I just heard this lady say, I've got Dad here. I get this feeling, Andrea, because your dad's here, but I get this feeling that I need to say on behalf of your sister's best friend, thank you, thank you, thank you. Please repeat this to your sister, you made everything more manageable for me and my family. It's incredibly important. And whatever your sister did at her friend's funeral mattered.
She actually just had her memorial service yesterday.
It's very important. Whatever happened at that memorial service that your sister did mattered. I feel like she consoled, she comforted, and she reassured. So Sandra will be able to send you the recording of this. Please send it to your sister, and also if the family are open to it, to the family of this beautiful lady. I also get the sense that she's brought your dad in. I get this feeling from your dad that he would not have wanted to be center of attention. I get this feeling that he was quite a character that one-on-one he could socialize, but he didn't like huge crowds.
Yeah, he was like that.
And I know that he had this feeling of family first and always.
Absolutely.
I know you've spoken about your sister, but he must have had a slightly different relationship with the two of you. Because I feel like he would be one way to your sister and then another way to you.
Yes, he was, for sure.
And I know I need to acknowledge a third person as well. Because I feel like I've got another person in the family, and whether it's a in-law, but I need to. Okay, Andrea, your mum is still here.
My mom has passed as well.
Then, Andrea, I need to acknowledge the third person here.
Here in the physical?
Yes. Because your dad is acknowledging the third person that's helping you, the partner or the friend that is very much helping you at the moment.
Could be my fiance.
Then he and your dad are very similar. Because he's got your dad's seal of approval. Very, very similar. I know with your dad that when he said the small words, that was it. He didn't say any more than necessary. You must have had the conversation very recently, Andrea, about your dad not being the one to walk you down the aisle and to give you away.
Yeah, I did.
I know that you have somebody else that can do that, because your dad acknowledges that. But he will be on your other arm doing that role for you without any question. He will most definitely be there. Definitely be there. And I know that your dad acknowledges your mum is here. But I do not have your mum communicating with me. But I know your dad is mentioning on behalf of your mum, she thanks you and she thanks your sister. And for her to come in would just be emotionally a little bit too much for everybody at the moment. But thank you for putting on hold what you did and for doing what you did. There's just an incredible thanks from your dad as well as your mum. I'm going to leave that with you, and please enjoy married life. It's fabulous. And allow and know that your mum and dad will be there for you. I also need to mention there's a celebration or a yay on part of your sister as well, because I know your dad wants to acknowledge her too. Please take their love and pass on the message to your friend, your sister's friend.
I will. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome. Thank you. I'm going to pass to my better half.
Better
Thank you
half.
very
There we go.
much.
You heard it, ladies and gentlemen. And it's recorded as well. Better half. There we go. Sandra's pulling one of those faces, but there we go.
I'm
But you know,
smiling is all.
I know you are. But it's incredibly difficult to sit here as a medium and listen to, I know it's my wife, another medium work, because you want to get involved, you want to link in, but you have to do everything you can not to do that or interfere or anything else. But anyway, I'm going to make a start. So good evening, ladies and gentlemen. What a pleasure it is to be here and to work for the spirit world on your behalf. Now, as I become aware of the spirit world, I know I have and I get the impression I want to talk about husband. Now, I can't repeat some of the things I'm hearing from husband because I know his language is a little bit blue at times. And I have to say this as well. I'm not really bothered who hears me. So I know he's a man that has his own mind and says what he wants to, and he doesn't change. And I get the impression as well that he was self-employed. I know that he seems to, it's almost like I want to talk about either joinery or construction that he would have worked in as well. And I know here, I can't say that. I know he's very happy in the work that he does as well, because I know he can just be who he is. So I know he likes to speak his mind, ladies and gents.
Thank you very much. If you understand this information, raise your hand, please. Christy has her hand raised. Christy, if you can find that unmute button and press it. Hi, Christy.
Hi there.
Welcome.
Hello, Christy. Do you understand everything I've said?
I did, although my dad just passed, but he is a husband to my mom. So
bear with me, because I that's fine. Don't say any more, because there was something as I was talking about husband, I thought there might be something wrong. So this is dad, and he spoke his mind.
yes, very much.
Okay.
So.
And do you understand where his language could be a little bit colourful?
Yes.
Because I know here there's certain words and I can't repeat, but he does not give, I can't say that, I'm trying to do this in the most politest way. He's not bothered about what people think, is he?
No, not at all.
And do you know, if there's a policeman or somebody official, he doesn't change. He is
Nope.
who he is. Because
That's right.
I know here, oh my word, I can't say. Do you know, if somebody complained about him, like you or your mum, he'd get worse.
Right.
Because I know here, as I said, I can't say these things. I'm getting, and some of the words though are quite blunt, aren't they? Yep.
Yes, he doesn't care.
Um, I know he doesn't care, sort of thing, but it's almost where that's his mentality, because it just feels here the way that he is quite boisterous coming in. It was his way of lifting people up. It was his way of almost keeping people positive and taking their mind off their worries as well.
Yes.
And I cannot say that even. I'm going to change his words again. It's almost like same day, different, you know what I'm going to say.
Uh-huh.
Yep. Okay.
Yes.
Because I
Yep.
know here he's just going on about we can't change things. We just deal with it. We get on with it. And we always look to the future, like the theme of today as
Yes.
well. And you knew with your dad, it had to be something major that took that shine and that personality away from him. So there was very few times you saw him where he wasn't himself.
Yes.
And would I be right in saying one of those times was towards the end where he wasn't well?
Yes.
Because I know here, and I want to say about your dad, even though he comes through larger than life, when it comes to illness, he wasn't the best.
Yes. True.
Because I know here is a little bit like me. I try and put a brave face on it, but I get told I moan about it. So there we go. But I know here, but it's almost where I want to say towards the end about it was important that his dignity was kept and he felt it was kept.
Yes. Yes.
And I know here he wanted to be at home as well.
Yes.
Because it's almost, I want my surroundings, I want my comfort, I want my family, because my family is big as well. Oh my word, he's a character. When it comes, please forgive me, there's any doctors or anything out there, please understand this is not my thoughts, but it's almost like where doctors are concerned, they can go and do one.
Yep.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay. That's the politest way I can say it, because I know here he's got this impression of you know what, I'll do it my way. Oh my word. And he has got a personality and a really good sense of humor, hasn't he?
Very much so.
Because he's just broke, because I know he's just broke into the song of Frank Sinatra, I'll do it my way. So I know he kept everyone entertained as well.
Yes.
And I also know Dad, it's almost like Dad's like a secret weapon. You go and send him in when you want something sorted out, like a complaint at a shop or something, because he would just, yep, you understand?
Yes.
Okay, because I also get this impression, Christy, that he's just like a nuclear bomb waiting to go off, because he will get louder and he will get louder and he will get louder, and it's almost like, yeah, just do anything to shut him up and get him out. And so it's almost he gets that what he needs to get from that complaint or whichever.
Yes.
He's trying to make. I'm trying to keep him sensible, but I also feel that your dad. There's a sense of him where he likes that one-on-one time with you, Christy, as well.
Yes.
And it's almost like okay, I'm changing his words again, pushing the family to one side very politely. I'm going to spend a bit of time with you. So there must be memories where you went out with your dad walking.
Yes.
Because I know here, and when I say walking, it feels like there's either a place we went to, the same location where there's trees and water.
Yes.
And I know here it's important because he can be himself, and that's where he seems to change, where he seems to be really sentimental and meaningful, because it's almost where I want to say, in fact, it is. I'm going to take that word. I've telling me off for saying that word because Kerry pulls me up. I'm going to take almost out of it. He would be quite sentimental towards you and be serious and try and push you and talk to you about the future and what you should be doing. And I know here, and I also know as well, he was good with birthdays because he wants to say happy birthday. So if it's not today, it would have been yesterday.
No. I mean, good with birthdays, yes, but not. No
Okay, not. Bear with me once.
Wait.
So somebody's just about to say that I'm correct. There we go. So I know here he knows his mind and he's laughing. Your dad could be quite sarcastic as well, because I know that he would say something, somebody would pull him up and he'll just be quiet until they go, oh, I'm really sorry, you were correct. I wonder where he gets that from. Did he know you? So I know here there's an impression of your dad, larger than life, but I know he wants to come in. Now, your dad used to like going through the old photographs, almost like photo albums, and going back.
Yes, yes.
And I know here he liked to point out, Kerry's now pointing out how many times I'm saying almost, because it's a habit of mine. So I know here he would look at those photographs, he would go through them, and I know he would embarrass you and tell you funny stories that you made mistakes in the past. And I also feel with your dad, he would tell you funny stories about other people, but shh, you're not allowed to tell anyone.
Yes.
Because I know here, this is his mindset as he comes forward. I want to leave you with a memory of you and your dad, and I feel it's at Christmas where he's either got a funny hat on, but I know he's pulling a face and smiling, and it's just you and him with his arm around you. And I know we're not meant to have favorites, but I know you were his favorite, and I know here he is that larger than life that wants to entertain, and he's saying to me, I'm only a thought away. And with that, I want to repeat 3 little words back to you. I love you. 2 forwards. So I know while I've been communicating, you've said that, and he's said that back as well. You must still have some of his tools though as well.
Yes.
And you must have either lost one or broke one of them recently, or somebody has.
Well, I don't know.
Because I know he was quite precious about it. So I'm going to leave his love with you and say thank you so much, Christy, for allowing me to allow your dad to come forward and speak his mind. And those people that don't agree with you, he's giving me a few words and the last word is off. So I'm going to just leave that there as well. Understand?
Thank you so much. Yes.
You're
Thank you so
absolutely
much.
welcome. You're absolutely welcome, Christy. Absolutely welcome. Good, good, good. I didn't slip up with any words, did I? No, because every other word, it was like, wow. Okay, so I know I have a gentleman coming forward. I know his name is Thomas, and as I work with Thomas, oh my word, he's got his language is just as bad. Hold on a minute, ladies and gents. Okay, I need a little bit more from you. Sorry, I'm going to take that back. I have Thomas that's with me. I know he's only passed very recently, and I want to say, I'm tempted to say in the last week, but I feel it's a little bit more than that. But I know it was a very quick passing, and I get the sense here as well that he's got a really warped sense of humour. And I know there would have been conversations about life after death before he passed as well. So I know I have a gentleman, his name is Thomas. I get the impression here with Thomas that that was his name as, sorry, not name, but he was a friend, sorry. So I know I've got a friend called Thomas in the spirit world.
Thank you very much. Who understands this gentleman? Raise your hand, please.
And I need to change something already, Sandra, because I've just
Okay.
been corrected. I'm not going to change the name of Thomas because I know that's correct. I do believe he's either a friend or somebody very close, because it doesn't feel quite like family, but I could be wrong. But I know here that he has passed quite recently, and I know there was talk of life after death, and I know somebody's been asking for him to communicate, because I'm aware of that within my mind. But he corrected me, then he's taken it away. So I know there's something here I've done wrong, but we'll see. I just get he's really outspoken.
Thank you. All right, who understands this gentleman? Or think you might. Nina has her hand raised. Nina, if you could unmute yourself there. Hi, Nina.
Hi, Sandra. Phil, I can only take it as a surname.
Ah, okay.
Everything else is in yes.
Okay, that's fine. And do you understand where he spoke his mind?
Yeah.
And it was blunt and to the point.
Yep.
And it's not that he doesn't care what other people think, but he is opinionating and he has his convictions.
Correct.
And it's almost where I can talk over people and I can be quite loud as well.
Yes.
And it's almost, well, I'm right, and you can talk all you want, but I'll talk over the top, and even if I'm wrong, I'm still right, because I know he's got that mentality.
That's right.
Okay. But I also feel here that it's almost where it's almost where I want to be involved in everyone's business. So I know he liked to know what was going on.
I don't know if he liked to know what was going on, but I know that he was involved in a lot of people's business. Yes.
Because it's almost, in fact, I'm going to stick to that last point because you're marking now how many times I say almost, aren't you? I know what I have to put up with, ladies and gentlemen. It's all right. I don't mind. It's part of the humor. But I know he had his views on politics as well.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. So I'm wrong. So let me take that back. But I know he had his opinions on people's lives and situations.
Yes.
And I know he wasn't scared at voicing them.
Correct.
And I know there would have been either a little tete-a-tete or disagreement with yourself.
There would have been something. Yes.
Because I know here it's almost where I want to speak, but I know I've either offended you or I've said things that are not right.
I can't say yes to it like that. No.
Okay, but I know there is something there because I can feel him recoil that little bit. I know he was a man not of many apologies.
I don't know.
Okay, because
probably not.
because I know here I can sense the recourse, but I'm not feeling that apology. So I know here what I'm saying is correct as well. He must have known your father though as well.
He did.
And I know here there seems to be, I know fathers in the spirit world, but I know here there's a good, healthy respect between them where they would talk.
Yes, there was.
And I know here, like politics and stronger conversations were it's almost like I want to put the world to rights, almost like he was, almost, I said it again, pulling myself up now. I know that they would have talked about world situations.
I can only imagine they would have.
But I know there seems to be, he must have been, I'm trying to look at this because there's something I'm not quite understanding. Thomas must have been quite a businessman.
Don't know.
Then let me just step back for a second. He must have, thank you. I'm going to just change that around. It's your dad that was the businessman.
My dad was a businessman, yes.
Yes. And do you understand with your dad, where business was concerned, he knew the ins and outs, not just of his business, but of commercial lay of the land.
Yes.
And he was very shrewd in business as well.
I think I have to say no to that.
Ooh. You might have to say no to that.
Yeah.
But where it comes to being shrewd in business, when it came to money, he didn't miss. He was pretty good.
Yes.
Because there seems to be this sense of it. There's an impression he knows. He must have watched the stock markets.
I don't know.
Because I know there seems to be an impression of money, stock markets, knowing the fluctuations and watching things. I know he was in the jewelry, that element of business.
Yep.
And I know that's where there seems to be watching of stocks and impressions of prices. And I know his eye for detail was incredible.
Yes.
And would I be right in his work? He would have done either engraving as well.
He did.
And I don't know if this is a thing or not, but he must have either shaped diamonds or gems.
Correct.
Because I know you can polish them, I know you can tell, but it's the shaping of them almost. I've said it again, I've caught myself now. it's where I want to, I'm very aware of that word. I want to say, and this might be naive of me, but you must lose either buy diamonds, then have to cut them down, and you lose either money or quantity or something.
That can happen, right, if it's not.
Because I know here, he must have either done this for people who wanted jewelry shaping. So he's not just a jeweler, he did many things, and I don't know the correct terminology, with jewels for people.
That's correct, and there is a word for it,
There is. Good. Can you tell me what that word is?
called a lapidary.
Ah, okay, that's fine. But lapidary. See if that one sticks in my mind. I don't think it will. But a lapidary, that sounds quite posh. But I know he must have either presented little diamonds to you as well, Nina,
Yes,
because he keeps on saying my diamond. So I know he's referring to you as his little diamond, but I know there's been gifts of diamonds to you. And I want to leave you with that polishing and that crafting of self in your dad's words from his evidence to you, that you are that beautiful diamond inside and out. And Mum's in the spirit as well.
she is.
And Mum must have had a diamond ring off your dad.
Oh, she would have, yes.
And somebody must have that ring now.
Don't know.
Because I know he's talking about a diamond ring. There must, one last thing, there must have been talk between you and your husband in the background, Darren, of either holidaying, but it's more than that. I'm not saying you're renewing vows, but it feels like I want to start life again and look to the future.
I can say yes to the latter, definitely not to the renewal of vows, right?
I know it's not, like I said,
Yeah.
it's not in your, but I
Right.
know there's something about re-cementing, because I know Dad's handing over diamonds. He could give me diamonds, couldn't he? But I know he's given me diamonds to pass on to you. So I'm going to leave that with you, knowing that you're his little diamond, and I know he's around you. And again, with your dad, business, financials, but also family time was important to him.
Correct. Yeah.
I'm going to leave his love with you, Nina, and say thank you for allowing me to do that.
Thanks, Phil.
Ladies and gentlemen, it has been my pleasure not just to be back with you on the Sunday gathering. It's been a while since we've been on. Sandra's right in the beginning. We've been here since day dot. We don't plan on going anywhere else. We're staying here, so you're stuck with us. But actually, it's a pleasure, isn't it, to work for the spirit world and be part of something that is really beautiful, which is inspiring the living to look to the future. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm going to hand back to the lovely Sandra Champlain.
Thank you very much, Phil and Kerry. Friends, you can see just how close our loved ones are, and we still get to keep our sense of humor and apparently even our language. So with that, I hope everyone pulled that towards them just to let you know how close they are. They're still an active part of our life, and their love never dies. There's been a request, how do I find the replays for the Sunday gathering? When you go to wedon'tdie.com, click on the Sunday gathering page. You'll be able to register for upcoming Sunday gatherings. You'll also be able to watch the replays of a whole bunch of them, several years worth, in fact. So you can find them there and you can share them. Give me a couple hours just to edit this one and put it up there, but that's the best way to find it. Also, there's been many people who've written some awfully nice things in the chat box. We wish we had time to write back to everybody, but we don't, but we have read them all. So there's been some pretty wonderful things said. And so I want to really thank everybody and know that we have read them. And we thank some of you for your service. Kerry and Phil, to me, are just, well, they're great people, but they're the best tutors. If you want a taste of how our soul communicates and receives information, I think every human being should just take a course, whether you join them live on Thursdays, starting the same time as we started today, or if you join by video replay. They are 1 week into their current class for April. It's called The Gentle Path to Spirit. If you register, you get the replay, that you get to watch the 2-hour replay, and then you'll be able to catch up with the class on Thursday. Highly recommended. MyMediumship.com is their website. There's other great stuff as well to investigate. Also, if you go to the store page at wedon'tdie.com, you'll also find a link to register for that course there. Now, we'll be back together again with Kerry and Phil next Sunday, which is Easter Sunday. Oh my gosh, hard to believe. Kerry is in charge of that one as chair. So she'll put her bunny ears on and create the music and theme and all those good things as she does. You can register for that again at wedon'tdie.com. You can go to the store page or the Sunday Gathering page. It's there. Also coming up tomorrow, there's a new class starting with our friend Scott Milligan called Trance and the Altered States. Different kind of medium class. This one is about closing your eyes, and it's a gentle blend with those in the unseen world. Also, he'll be back with Sitting for Healing and a trance medium demonstration on Friday. Last thing I want to say is a shout out to our friends who have made our Sunday gathering possible, donating. Things get expensive. We never pass a plate around, but for those of you who have been so kind to share, we appreciate it. Keeps us going. So if you ever wish to donate toward our Sunday gathering, you can just click on that Sunday gathering page at wedon'tdie.com. That's all the announcements I have. I'm going to turn it right back over to Phil for some empowering words for the week before we close.
Well, got to get something off my chest first. We're back next week, ladies and gentlemen, and you spoiled. I'm only teasing. You can see our senses of humour are back. So no, actually, if you, ladies and gentlemen, can go back to the address and listen to Sandra's words with what she said, and also in her reading, Kerry's words and my own, be really grateful for the little things in life, because they really keep us smiling. Being able to walk outdoors, to have that freedom, to take in a deep breath of air, as long as it hasn't got a scent to it, but also to see the flowers and everything else. You're laughing yet? And to keep your senses of humour as well, because, you know, one of the things I learned in Australia was just to be yourself. Kerry's trying not to laugh. Is to be yourself, because you never know, a little bit of humour lifts somebody's day. And my dad's words of just knowing and learning from everyday experiences, it's incredible. So when you open the curtains or you open your door in the morning and you see that weather and you breathe in that air and take that step, know that you've got the rest of your day to create something, to be something. And at the end of the night, when you close that door back and go within those rooms, that you've achieved. And what you've learned, you can take into the next day and the next day and the next day. And who knows, in the future, you'll share that with somebody and it'll make a huge difference. Again, thank you for listening. I hope you've enjoyed today. I hope you've learned from that communication of the spirit world, and know that we're in the hands of the Spirit. I'm going to hand over to Kerry for the final prayer.
Join me as we close this beautiful Sunday gathering in the usual manner, which is prayer. Divine and infinite Spirit, once again we have felt the presence, the gifts of love, and the comfort and company of a world unseen, and yet knowing that they walk by our side. Allow us to be reassured for the week to come that regardless of what happens in our physical lives, we can walk through with our heads full of thoughts of a world unseen, a world of positivity, and a world of healing. Allow us to give that gift of healing and change to all that meet us, and allow us to accept that we are who we are meant to be. Amen.
Thank you so much, Kerry, and thank you, Phil, and everybody watching and our friends and family in the spirit world. We're going to close with another wonderful piece of music that Phil has picked, A Million Dreams, reimagined by the artist Pink. It's a beautiful song, but pay attention to the lyrics, which will pop up on the screen, and just let them seep into you and empower you. Thank you, one and all, and we'll see you on Easter Sunday. We love you. Thanks, Kerry and Phil. Bye, everyone.